crowd. Maybe a concert, maybe a protest, maybe a packed stadium. You feel the bodies around you, the heat, the pulse, thousands of people pressing in, and something shifts. You do something you wouldn't dream of doing alone. You shout things, you push. You lose yourself in the roar. Bam! That feeling isn't accident. That's your brain rewiring in real time. That's de-individuation, and it's already pulling your strings. Here's what happens. When you're surrounded by a crowd, your self-awareness drops like a stone. Your brain stops thinking about yourself and starts thinking with the crowd. You become anonymous, and anonymity is like a permission slip your brain's been waiting for. Researchers found that people in crowds or online anonymity behave in ways they'd never act out alone. More aggressive, more reckless, less inhibited. Your identity dissolves, the individual conscience shuts down. Your brain loves shortcuts, and everyone's doing it is the shortest one. Think about it. You're at a rock concert and the crowd starts pushing toward the exit. You push harder, crushing, irrational. Alone, you'd wait, but in the mass, you're not you anymore, or online. You're behind a screen, nobody knows your name, and suddenly you're vicious in a comment thread in a way that would horrify you in person. Same mechanism, different stage. Here's the kicker. This isn't a flaw in bad people. This is how the human brain is wired. De-individuation works on everyone, saints included. In a riot, ordinary parents do violent things. In a mob mentality at work, decent colleagues turn cruel to an outsider. In a comment section, you see vitriol you know the person doesn't truly live by. The crowd erases the person. But warning, powers know this. Populists, autocrats, polarizing movements, they weaponize anonymity and crowd energy on purpose. They dissolve individual conscience to move people in masses. Tribalism turbocharges de-individuation. The darker the tribe's mission, the harder the manipulation works. Here's what you do. For the next 48 hours, catch yourself. Before you enter a crowd mentality, notice the moment your self-awareness starts to fade. Are you at a rally? In a heated group chat? In a stadium? Pause. Name it. Ask yourself, would I say this, do this, believe this if I were alone? That split second of individual consciousness, that's your lever back to yourself. Because freedom isn't something you feel in a crowd. Freedom is when you're alone with your conscience and you're still you. You're in a meeting. Your team just pitched an idea. It's got problems, you can see them clear. Holes in the logic, missed costs, a timeline that's insane. You open your mouth to speak, then you feel it. The weight of agreement already settling. Everyone's nodding. Your boss is smiling. That voice in your head whispers, "Don't rock this boat." So you don't. You smile too. Bam! You just became invisible. That's groupthink, and it's already pulling your strings. This is when a group prioritizes harmony, unity, consensus over critical thinking. Over the truth. Dissent gets swallowed. Bad decisions accelerate in a vacuum of resistance. Your brain loves shortcuts. Conflict feels dangerous. Our ancestors who argued with the tribe got kicked out. So your nervous system is wired to crave agreement, to feel psychological safety and sameness. Researchers found that groups amplify this instinct. We conform harder when we're surrounded. The bigger the group, the stronger the pull. Here's it in motion. A startup team signs off on a product no one actually tested because the founder fell in love with it. A hospital where nurses see a procedure's risky but stay quiet because the lead surgeon built his reputation on it. Your friend group decides to exclude someone, and by the second round of conversation, nobody admits they like them anymore. Boom, groupthink, gavel's gone down, but here's the kicker. Groupthink doesn't just feel comfortable, it's weaponized everywhere. Corporations use it to silence whistleblowers. Movements use it to eliminate internal debate. The safer dissent feels, the more dangerous complacency becomes. Your silence is a vote. So here's your move, the 48-hour disagree rule. In your next meeting, write down one dissenting thought before you all agree. Hold it. Wait. After the decision lands, pull one trusted person aside and say exactly what you saw, not to sabotage, to reality check. A single voice can crack the spell. It doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to exist. The crowd doesn't want to think for you. They just want you to think with them. Your job is to think despite them. Stay the anomaly. Stay the question mark. Stay sharp in a sea of smooth surfaces. You're sitting in a Slack channel with 5 people who all agree that the new feature is a bad idea. One person drops a concern, someone else riffs on it, another adds a study they read. By the time the thread wraps, everyone's convinced it's the worst decision ever made. Bam! You've all lurched further from center than any of you started. That's group polarization, and it's already pulling your strings. Here's what's happening. Your brain loves the efficiency of agreeing with people around it. When you're surrounded by folks leaning the same direction, your brain amplifies that tilt. It's not just consensus seeking, it's consensus accelerating. Researchers found that groups discussing a topic reliably shift to more extreme positions than the individuals in them would alone. Your brain gets primed to prove itself within the tribe by going further. Think about your political feeds, algorithmic echo chambers where every post confirms your view, and by month 3 you're angrier and more sure than when you started. Think about investment clubs where everyone's bullish and the group talks itself into moonshots, or work teams that bond over a shared enemy and collectively decide that enemy deserves no credit for anything. 3 friends at lunch who start mildly annoyed at an ex and leave planning how they'll never speak to them again. But here's the kicker. This isn't a side effect, it's a weapon. Cults use it, radicalization pipelines weaponize it, marketing teams exploit it. Plant a few enthusiasts in a room, watch them convince themselves to go all in, then use that footage to convert thousands. Extremist movements depend on it. Your brain's love of fitting in isn't accidental. It's being harvested. So here's your move. For the next 48 hours, when you're in a group discussion, intentionally introduce one perspective that nudges against the current. Just one. Not to win the argument, to interrupt the acceleration. A single well-timed question slows the drift. What would someone who disagrees say here? That pause is oxygen. It breaks the feedback loop your brain was spinning. You're not wired to think alone. You're wired to think with others, but you're also wired to choose who others are and how deeply you lean in. Group polarization happens in the blind spot between connection and conformity. Once you see it, once you name it, you get to decide whether you're drifting or dancing. You're walking past someone collapsed on the sidewalk. A dozen eyes flick down, then away. Your brain whispers, "Someone else will help." Bam. You keep walking. And so does everyone else. That's the bystander effect, and it's already pulling your strings. Here's the kicker. Your brain is primed to diffuse responsibility the moment witnesses appear. Researchers found that as the group size increases, the likelihood of help decreases. When you're alone, you own the emergency. When there's a crowd, ownership dissolves. It's not cruelty, it's a cognitive shortcut your brain loves. Why bear the full weight when it can be split? Think about a Slack channel with 50 people watching a vague question nobody answers, or a date going badly. Both of you check your phones instead of addressing it because surely the other person will bring it up. Or a safety issue at work that gets flagged in a meeting with 20 attendees and nobody acts because, well, HR's probably on it. Your brain defaults to, I'm not the only one who sees this, so it's not mine to fix. Convenient logic, dangerous outcome. But here's the kicker. That diffusion of responsibility gets weaponized. Abusers count on it. Harassment thrives on it. Public indifference is the cover story. When a platform has 1 million users reporting a scam, the report gets buried in the pile. Each report feels like one among thousands, so nothing happens. Your brain's shortcut becomes a shield for harm. So here's the move. The 48-hour accountability challenge. Pick one situation, online, in person, doesn't matter, where you notice the bystander logic creeping in. Someone's idea gets ignored in a meeting. A weird comment on social media, a friend's post that hints at struggle. For 48 hours, act as if you're the only witness. Speak up, respond, reach out, no hedging, no waiting for consensus, just you and the thing. You'll feel the friction immediately. Your brain will resist. It will whisper, but not your responsibility. That's the shortcut firing. Override it, because the moment you stop diffusing and start acting, you're no longer a bystander. You're an agent. An agency is the antidote to the herd instinct. Knowledge. You're sitting in a meeting. The boss just proposed something. It's not great. Actually, it's kind of ridiculous, but nobody's saying anything. Everyone's nodding, looking at their notes. Quiet. Bam. You feel it. This strange gravity pulling you towards silence even though you disagree. That's pluralistic ignorance, and it's a trap your brain falls into constantly. Here's the kicker. Most of the people in that room feel exactly like you do. They're all privately thinking this is weird. But because nobody's saying it out loud, everyone assumes everyone else buys it. The silence becomes proof of consensus. The lie becomes real. Why does this happen? Your brain is a pattern-matching, energy-saving machine. It doesn't like standing alone. Researchers found that we use other people's behavior as shorthand. We read the room instead of trusting our own judgment. If the room is quiet, your brain interprets that as, this is normal, this is accepted. You're wired to sync with the crowd. It's efficient. It's also dangerous. Think about it. You're in a Zoom call and nobody's turning their camera on, so you turn yours off too. Then at a party, everyone's laughing at a joke you didn't understand, so you laugh. At work, nobody challenges the boss's terrible idea, so you don't either. On social media, everyone's pretending their life is amazing, so you curate yours too. Your brain is running on the assumption that silence means agreement. It's betting you're the weird one. But here's the kicker. That consensus you're sensing, it doesn't exist. It's a phantom, a collective hallucination, and the moment one person breaks, the moment someone in that meeting says, actually, I'm not sure about this, everything cracks. Suddenly others follow. The spell breaks. The real opinions emerge. Here's what you can do. The 48-hour disruption. Pick one small space where you feel this pull. A group chat, a meeting, a conversation. For the next 48 hours, refuse to be the silent voter. Say your honest thing, even if it feels small, even if it feels risky. Watch what happens. Guaranteed, at least one other person is thinking exactly what you just said. This is how majorities get trapped by minorities. This is how cultures ossify. But it's also incredibly fragile. It only works if you stay quiet. The moment you speak, you give other people permission to be honest too. That's your power. You're in a meeting. Someone's just said something you disagree with, something that feels genuinely wrong. You open your mouth, then you notice nobody else is objecting. The room is nodding. Suddenly, your certainty evaporates. You swallow. You stay silent. Bam! You just fed the machine. That's the spiral of silence, and it's already rewriting reality in your brain. Here's what's happening. When you see a view winning, your brain treats disagreement like a social threat. Not a rational debate, a threat. And to survive the tribe, you zip it. The quiet ones stay quiet. The quiet ones make the majority look bigger than it is, which makes more people stay quiet, which makes the majority look even bigger. It spirals. Researchers found this works like a thermostat. Your brain's constantly scanning the room for which way the wind is blowing, checking faces, counting heads, listening to vocal confidence. When you sense you're outnumbered, even by a little, your tongue gets heavy. It's a survival instinct wired so deep that you won't even notice it happening. One study by Elizabeth Noelle-Neumann tracked this in the 1970s and found the effect is strongest when people feel they're losing ground, when they think they're the only one left thinking their way. Watch this in real time. You're scrolling Twitter and you want to tweet something that'll get you ratioed. Your thumb hovers, you delete it. At work, you've got a better idea than the direction your team's heading, but everyone seems locked in. You email a half-hearted thought instead of speaking up. On a first date, you're about to mention your actual opinion on a contentious thing and your date just expressed the opposite view. You pivot, you agree, smooth. But here's the kicker. The majority view only appears dominant because everyone who disagrees has gone quiet. Researchers call it pluralistic ignorance. Everybody's got doubts, nobody's saying it, so everybody assumes they're the only skeptic in the room. The minority never had a voice. They just vanished. This is especially weaponized in places where social belonging matters most. Office politics, family WhatsApp groups, dating, anywhere you can't afford to seem like the outsider. And once you stay silent, something shifts inside you. Silence feels like agreement. Your brain starts to believe what it's not saying. The spiral tightens. Here's the move, the 48-hour challenge. In the next 2 days, find one moment where you catch yourself about to self-censor. Doesn't have to be big. Could be a small disagreement, a different taste, a genuine observation. Say it anyway, out loud. Notice what actually happens most of the time. Nothing. No exile, no judgment, just reality. And maybe someone else who's been quiet nods and thinks, "Oh, I thought I was alone." When you speak up, when you break the spiral by adding your voice, you give permission to everyone else who's been holding their breath. That's real power, not the loudness, the courage to be heard when silence feels safer. You're in the break room. Someone suggests the team does an off-site planning session next month. Nobody really wants to go. It's expensive, 3 days away, the hotels are weird. But nobody says that. One person nods, then another. By the time the email goes out confirming the dates, you're all locked in. You just collectively drove to Abilene together, bam. None of you wanted to be there. That's the Abilene Paradox. And it's already pulling your strings. It's when a group agrees on action while each individual member secretly disagrees. Everyone assumes everyone else wants it, so nobody speaks up. You end up doing something nobody actually wanted. Here's why your brain does this. Your brain is fundamentally wired to fit in. Researchers found that the social cost of disagreement, the risk of looking difficult, stupid, or uncommitted, feels heavier than the actual cost of the bad decision. Your amygdala lights up when you imagine speaking against the group. So you stay quiet. Everyone stays quiet. The wrong decision wins. Picture this in action. At work, the team agrees to adopt a new project management tool nobody's comfortable with. At home, a friend group decides on a restaurant chain they've all already eaten at 100 times when someone actually wanted to try the new place. On a date, you both say you want to stay in and watch a movie when you both actually wanted to go out. On social media, the group agrees the discourse is about topic X. So everyone posts about topic X, even though most people don't care. But here's the kicker. This dynamic gets weaponized. Authoritarian groups, cults, bad management, they all exploit the Abilene Paradox on purpose. They make disagreement socially taboo. They reward public conformity. The more someone fears the cost of dissent, the deeper into Abilene the whole group marches. And nobody stops it. Here's your move. For the next 48 hours, when you're in a group decision, ask one question before the choice locks in. Does anyone here actually disagree with this? Then shut up and listen. That's it. Most of the time, someone does. And the moment one person speaks the quiet thing, the spell breaks. Others follow. The paradox collapses. Your brain loves the safety of group agreement. That's real. But you're not wired only for conformity. You're wired for both belonging and honesty. The choice between them is always yours.